the MVP of the 2009 NBA Finals, Kobe Bryant.
Imagine becoming the best in the world, sitting on the pinnacle, defining the history books. On June 13th, 2009, Kobe Bryant and the Los Angeles Lakers got to experience that feeling. For the first time in his career, Kobe was undeniably the most valuable player on a championship-winning team. He was the best player in the world. He was no longer Shaq's sidekick, no longer the superstar who needed another superstar. For anyone else, it'd be a time to celebrate. For Kobe, it was time to get back in the gym. Before Los Angeles finished celebrating their first championship since 2002, Kobe was already working towards bringing home another trophy, his own title. The Lakers stayed on brand, immediately pursuing repeated excellence. But it was bigger than that for Kobe. He was determined to never lose in the finals again. He set his sights on a third straight trip because, quite frankly, defeating the Magic in 2009 did not erase the pain from his 2008 exit.
Those times when you get up early and you work hard, those times when you stay up late and you work hard, those times when you don't feel like working, you're too tired, you don't want to push yourself, but you do it anyway. That is actually the dream.
Even as the Lakers lifted the Larry O'Brien trophy in 2009, memories of Game 6 of the previous finals still lurked in the back of their minds. A 39-point blowout to the franchise's biggest rival, Kobe, who many call the greatest Laker ever, lost to the Boston Celtics in the NBA Finals by 39 points.
And the fact that the last championship that they played against each other, Boston won, there seemed to be a mission there, just like 85. And the mission wasn't just to win an NBA championship, but we want to avenge the 2008 loss.
Winning the 2009 championship healed some wounds, but the scars were still apparent.
You know, we felt great about what we accomplished in 09, but without winning again in 2010, it would not have felt the same. And so it's hard to put into words how motivated and pissed and angry we were after losing in 08. Mm-hmm. And that everything we accomplished after that started from there.
Heading into the new season, the Lakers retained nearly all of their key players. They had their face of the franchise in Kobe. He still had his Robin and Paul Gasol, as well as Derek Fisher at the point and Andrew Bynum in the paint. The only starter who didn't come back was Trevor Ariza. He departed in an offseason meant for celebrating a title, and he left big shoes to fill. The Lakers were losing a guy who did it all.
7 games in that series, and Trevor was a huge part of what we did. You know, he was that small forward and key component to kind of blend with Kobe and the big and just play off of everybody.
Ariza was not only clutch in the 2009 finals, he was also one of Bryant's closest friends. The two always matched up in practice, and Ariza credits Bryant for his rapid improvement. Kobe helped Ariza become a 3-and-D player who could start for any team. Unfortunately for the Lakers, Kobe did too good of a job. Ariza improved so much that he drew interest from a Lakers rival, the Houston Rockets. Just months before, Ariza helped the Lakers knock out the Rockets in a hard-fought 7-game series. Now, he would suit up for them. Bryant and the Lakers realized Ariza left a hole that needed to be filled if they wanted to repeat. The team needed a wing defender, a shooter, a personality. Enter Ron Artest. Artest was an 11-year veteran by the time the Lakers signed him, and he made quite the name for himself. Ever since he was, let's just say, a key component of the worst fight in NBA history, Artest faced scrutiny daily. Refs called games differently when the small forward stepped on the court. Artest's every move was put under a microscope and magnified. The texts and flagrants would become his brand. When Artest was swapped to the Rockets the year before, Yao Ming semi-jokingly expressed reservations about his new teammate, saying hopefully he's not fighting anymore, going after a guy in the stands. Artest did not hesitate to respond. I'm still ghetto, that's not going to change. I'm never going to change my culture. Yao has played with a lot of black players, but I don't think he's played with a black player that really represents his culture as much as I represent my culture. After a rocky start, Artest thrived in Houston. While he did scrap on the court, his targets were never his teammates. His defensive intensity and drive encouraged the Lakers enough. They bet on him to continue trending positively.
Became an all-star. Defensive player, one of the youngest defensive player of the year, one of the only wings, Kawhi Leonard and Michael Jordan. So you feel a certain way about yourself. You're supposed to be a champion.
The Lakers fully understood Artest's reputation, but believed that Phil Jackson and company could tame his energy productively.
And it took us a while to get connected to Ron's personality and
I bet.
the way he saw the game, and we all respected him a great deal, but it was just new energy that we had to figure out how to work with.
I think he kind of got a bad rap just for certain things, like he was some weirdo. He was just different.
On top of that, there was a question on how Artest and Bryant would fit. Just months ago, they were at each other's throats. But the Lakers were not worried for long.
And he was very deferential, to Kobe and to myself and the veteran guys we already had there. Like, he wanted to fit in. And so I think that he doesn't get enough credit for finding a way to fit into a very, very strong group that was already built when he arrived.
And Ron came in with that same attitude. It's like, I'm here only to win the championship. I'll do whatever it takes. I want to be, I don't need to be the man like I was before, but I just want to fit in with these guys and make it happen.
Instead of holding a grudge against the man that antagonized him just months before, Kobe took Artest under his wing. Their previous battles were left in the dust. Artest's biggest rival became his strongest ally.
When you're competing and you're trying to be the best, you got a lot of people who's trying to be the best. Some people actually become the best. Then you got some people who come in second and fifth. You got some people who's like in 50th place, but still want to be the best. They still fighting. I'm like one of those type of people. So if I see somebody in front of me, I don't like that person because they're better. Like Kobe. It wasn't a beef. It was more just like, it was a respect.
The respect went both ways, and the Lakers immediately saw results on the floor.
He was eager, he was anxious to learn, the triangle isn't for everybody, but he was able to pick it up. He was able to do his part in it. He just brought something that was different, to the table.
Artest committed to one job for the Lakers, bodying superstars into submission.
Well, I've always been an enforcer from back in my Queensbridge days. When you're playing with the men in Queensbridge, when they allow you to get on the court, you gotta bring it.
Artest gave us a little bit more of a physical, kind of like football style team that works well for us with specific matchups.
The Lakers moved from the 6th best to the 4th best defensive team in 2010, with the only notable roster changes being the loss of Ariza and the addition of Artest. The Lakers squad that was beat down in the 2008 finals had been ridiculed for being too soft. Critics claimed that Kevin Garnett and the Celtics bullied the Lakers with little resistance. Ron Artest changed that, thanks to his unrelenting energy and toughness born from years of playing on the streets of New York.
You play in some of the circumstances I played in. I remember one time I was 11 years old. We in Hamill's Project, 11 years old. We going to work. We playing hard. That's all we know.
With the team looking forward to a rematch against their greatest rival, Kobe had a new weapon. Artest became the defensive switchblade and enforcer the Lakers lacked in 2008. And in the span of just a few months, he would hit one of the biggest shots in Laker history, one that Los Angeles would never forget.
Bryant looking. Artest, that's a three. Bang! Lakers by 6.
There's a mutual respect that we have for one another. It's that level of respect that enables us to perform at a high level when we compete against each other.
It automatically makes you better.